Well, here you can see the trouble with a stranded rope. The strands sometimes get untangled and they start to fray and the rope becomes useless. And the further back it frays, the more useless the rope becomes. So we want to find a way to stop this fraying. And one way of doing that is to do a whipping, and we've got a couple of whipping videos that you can have a look at. Or you can do a back splice, which is what we're going to show you here. So what you need to do is to unravel the strands to the same point, and preferably to where the rope is still nice and tight. So all of this is still in good condition. It hasn't started to become unraveled yet. So we need to go back at least that far. If it's got any bit of unraveling happening, then it's going to be really hard to make a secure eye splice. Now I have put little tags on these, not because you have to, but just because it is helpful to keep track of strand number 1, strand number 2 and strand number 3, particularly for the first step of this process, but also even for the later steps. So there are 2 key parts to making a eye splice. One is the crown knot, and that's the first step, and that's the step that basically stops the whole thing unraveling. And then the second part is to tidy all of that up by weaving the strands into the rope. So let's have a look at the crown knot. So if we've got our 3 strands, what I'm going to do is take strand number 1 and make a loop with it. Okay, and I put that loop across the front of the nice tidy knot there. And then what I'm going to do is to take strand 2 and poke it into the loop created by strand 1. But I'm going to leave a little space there. So strand 2 has gone into the loop made by strand 1, but it's made its own loop as well. So if we call this loop 2, strand 3 is now going to go into loop 2. And it's going to leave a little loop there, which we might call loop 3. Now loop 3 hasn't had anything go into it, and strand 1 hasn't gone into anything. So basically what happens now is that strand 1 goes down into strand 3. And I'm going to be very gentle here so that I don't lose everything and pull it apart. So each strand has gone into a loop, and we have made 3 loops for the 3 strands to go into. And what we do now is very gently just work these down. So just very gently pull the ends of the strands until the little tangle that we've created by having the strands go into the loops gradually works its way down to where the rope is in good condition again. So I need to go just a little bit further. This is actually not perfectly good whipping rope because it's just a bit too rough and twisty, but we will do the best we can because this is what I've got. And it's a stranded rope, which we should be able to do an eye splice in, a back splice in, sorry. So there we have the crown knot. So it sort of looks a little bit like a little triangle because of the 3 strands coming out from it. I hope you can see the little triangle that we've got there, 1, 2, 3, and our 3 strands coming out. So that's the crown knot done, and that will actually, if you're in a screaming hurry and you've got a knot that's fraying, a rope that's fraying, you can tie a crown knot as a temporary get started on doing a back splice, and just that will hold things and stop things getting worse, at least for the moment. So I've got that tight and jammed down against where the rope's in good condition. Now what I have to do is to look at the strands that are loose and the rope that's good. Okay, so let's take our first strand, strand number 1 here. If we look closely at where strand number 1 is, it's coming through this strand here. It's got a strand next door to it, so it's come under this strand. It's got a strand next door, and it's basically going to go over that strand next door and then go under the strand after it. So we're essentially going to weave the strands. So it's come under this one, it's going over the one next door and the next one after is the one that needs to go under. So that's what I'm going to do. I have to twist the rope a little bit to make a gap for things to go through, and this rope is going to be a little bit misbehaving, I think. So there is strand number 1 taken care of. Let's go round to strand number 2. Where did strand number 2? And it should actually be kind of next door. So strand number 2 has come out of this strand. It's going to go over the one next door and into and under the one after that. Like that. Okay. And strand number 3, let's see, where haven't we been yet? It's going to go over this one and under this one, because this one hasn't had anyone under it. So there are three strands twisting in there, so they all get their turn at having one of the strands go under. Now, the first doing of that weaving process I always find is the hardest. Once you've got the first ones done, it's sort of easy from then on. But what we should find is when we've done this, is we've still got our 3 loose ends sort of coming out equally around the centre of that crown. And now we just keep going, and in fact, provided we've done all 3, it doesn't matter which one we do first the next time round, but I'm going to do them in order again. So here's number 1. Let's see what's happened to it. It's come out from underneath that, so it's going to go over this one and under the one next door. So out from this one, over the one next door, and weave underneath that one, like that. So away I go. You want to have a reasonable amount of fingernail to do this. Okay, so there's number 1 taken care of. For some reason I seem to have number 3 next, and that's fine. I tend to work rotating around, so it doesn't matter if I do this one next. So that seems to be what's come up. This is going to go over this one and under the one next door. It's going to start feeling more natural as you progress through doing this. And here we have this one coming over here, and where's the one next door that hasn't had anything go under it? That looks like this one here. It hasn't got anything going under it and coming out. And I've just finished doing all 3 of them, so they all should be at the same level on the way down, and again they should be equally spaced between the strands. So there's a strand going in between, comes out, strand between, comes out, strand between, comes out. And we should do this at least one more time. Okay, and you'll notice that I'm just sort of squishing the top there a little bit. So again, because I've done all 3, it doesn't matter which one I start with. So in fact, I'm going to start with this one. What's it doing? It's come out from under here. It's going to go over the one next door, and so that's the one that the next one after that is the one that it goes under. So it really is just weaving in amongst the strands of the rope, like that. Okay, grab this one. It's come out from here. It's going to go over the one next door, and then the strand next to that is the one that it goes under. And then, lucky last, this is coming out from under here. It's going to go over the one next door. And what I just now need to do is to find, well, where's the one it's supposed to go under? It looks like this one here, because nothing's gone under that one yet. And that's the last one that we've got. So there we have it. Okay. And because of where my strands actually are, whoops, and I'm losing my little marker, but it doesn't matter because I know what I'm doing now. I think I might even put a 4th turn in. So starting again, because I've done all 3 of them, it doesn't matter which one I start with. So over the one next door, under the one after it. So here it goes, open up the rope to do it, push it in like that. Okay, it's taken care of that one. This one goes over the one next door, under the one after it. And finally, lucky last, here it comes out from here, goes over the one next door, and what's the strand after that is this one. And again, I'm just checking, nothing else has gone under that anyway, so it's definitely its turn to have something go under it. And there I have 4 successful sets of weaves in through the rope. Now, if I just have a pair of scissors, which might take me a moment or two to take care of, and trim each of those pieces, and that as well. Some people sometimes finish the last turn by perhaps not having all 3 of them come out at the same point. They might, sorry, not have all 3 of them do the last lap. They might let one go for 2 more laps, one strand go for 1 more lap, and leave the 3rd strand where it is, so that gives a sort of tapering effect. So if I had kept going, I might have just left one of them to do no more weaving, done 1 more lot of weaves with the 2nd strand, and done 2 more lots of weaves with the 3rd strand, and that might have done a nice tapering effect. The final thing that I usually do is just give the whole thing a little bit of a rub between my hands, and that makes the back splice not quite so thick. And that's actually the disadvantage of the back splice, is that because you've woven the rope into itself, you've made it twice as thick as it was before. Whereas a whipping, the advantage that the whipping has is that it keeps the rope still at its original thickness. But there you go. That's how to do a back splice.